Why is it that some incredibly smart people struggle to compose a thoughtful email, a persuasive sales, or boardroom presentation? Well, many engineers, physicians, entrepreneurs are competent in their day-to-day tasks, but find that their fear of public speaking is hindering their success. Harvard Business University evaluated 200 executives, and 93% were considered not effective in their public speaking. That's where author of Confident, Powerful, and Persuasive Public Speaking, John Rayner, comes in. John's international client list includes top 500 companies like Avaya, Clorox, General Mills, Isuzu, IBM, and Philips. Global clients and audiences both have praised his work, describing his speaking and advising as genuine, inspiring, compelling, and powerful. And since 1998, John has stood before audiences addressing more than 80,000 people across more than 15 countries. And he's on a mission to help people change their perspective on what it means to communicate and be more natural, confident, and engaging in the shortest time possible. Let's meet John now. All right, John, welcome. It's nice to have you here today.
Well, thank you, Mike. It's a pleasure.
All right. Yeah, it's great. And where are you here from, by the way?
Well, moved around originally from London in the UK, and then moved over to Australia, Sydney in Australia, and then I've been based in the Americas for the last 8 years, so pretty much.
You've done it all. That explains the international client list.
And the strange accent.
That's right. So what is it that make you so good at what you do? Why are you a communications and a persuasion expert?
One word, fear. Because having grown up with an absolute fear of speaking, beyond maybe one or two people, very intimidated by others, any networking environment, it just wasn't my forte. And so I started my career in engineering, and within 7 years, obviously it was very technically based, but my biggest hindrance was actually communicating with the customers or the clients. But thankfully, in a way, after 7 years, my performance review resulted in my manager telling me that I'm not the worst engineer he had the misfortune of working with in his 40-year career, but I'm apparently in the top 3 category. So I knew that wasn't my forte. So I moved into marketing and sales, and I was reaching top performance results, but the problem is I still had this problem with anything beyond the one-on-one scenario. So fear drove me to wanting to overcome that. And then really I love, Mike, as you do, business and success. And I wanted to understand what are some of the key similarities that successful people have. And of course, powerful communication, effective communication, and public speaking seemed to be a thread that all of them had. So I just went on a mission. This was 25 years ago, giving my age away, but went on a mission to learn what are the proven tools and how do you master the art? Because obviously it's not just for some. I actually believe that everyone can communicate effectively.
Right, and it is true that the most powerful and most economically beneficial skill in the world. I mean, you'll make the most money as a public speaker, period. Mm-hmm. So having that skill set makes a big difference. So I can see this. So you've been doing this for a long time. So can you give us an example of some executives that you've been able to show your system and your process to that have gotten them to the next level?
Yeah, look, so about 18 years ago, started a training and corporate speaking company, and we focus on and specialize in leadership and communication and sales, but just focusing on specifically the the title of this book around effective and powerful communication, you make me think of a senior player called Andrew. Andrew was incredibly academic, incredibly intellectual. Mike, what he used to do is go into projects. He was literally called in as a senior project director. He would go into projects that were losing hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars per month. And then he would literally turn that around based on the experience that he had. However, the CEO of the company asked me to come in because apparently Andrew was leaving a wake of emotional disaster, is what I was told, and he wanted that fixed.
So that means that people were leaving the company and
Literally.
then they had HR problems on their hands
Literally.
in addition to, okay.
Well, in only a 12-month period, there were 6 people who left, and these were critical players within the industry. And if you actually do the cost of what that cost to lose them and recruit and then obviously induct new people, it's costly.
Yes.
So what we did was we went to work with Andrew. He was very resistant at first, but we did a 360 with his peers, upline, downline, and also clients and providers. And what happened is we met in a hotel to give him his feedback. And it was really interesting, Mike, because again, very, very academic, very intellectual. But what touched him was the emotion of how others perceived him. And the man ended up in tears. I had to leave the room for a little while and then reconvene. So Andrew was able to realize that whilst he's a very powerful performer, he wasn't a powerful or persuasive communicator. And ultimately, on a very, very quick journey, just gave him some proven tools. It was hard for him to apply those, but what I liked about Andrew is he was committed to do so. And in a very short time frame, we did the same 360 within 4 months, 5 months, and the results were off the charts, meaning he'd improved excessively.
Right. So not only was he saving money and doing his job better, the people were sticking around and they had teams again.
Exactly right.
So that comes to, so what you've been able to do is work with corporations on critical players, but what about applying what you do to groups? What have you been able to do with groups as well?
So what I mentioned to you before with Andrew is more of a one-on-one with senior players, executive players, but of course on a daily basis we work with groups and do group training. So it might be a group of 12, 20, 50 people in a room, smaller environments. And I suppose worst case scenario, I can think of where we're working with an international finance company with a mixture of analysts and account managers. And Mike, one of the analysts, was so, it got to me really. She was so devastated at the thought of talking in front of her peers, not strangers, that just literally shaking, absolutely shaking and weeping, had to leave the room. But what I enjoy doing is showing people that when people are less self-concerned, when they're more concerned about their message, when they're more concerned about how that's going to affect the audience, and then really what is the outcome of that message and what you want the audience to do, just within literally 12 to 24 hours. Obviously, she wasn't ready to take the stage yet, but was able to stand up and give a 12-minute public presentation, or at least a speech amongst 20 peers, with far more confidence, and that's what pleases me.
Fantastic. Yeah. So, and that carried on through the rest of the group as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic. Absolutely. So I know you've also worked with telecommunications businesses, so a variety of different companies, but I know you've got another example of a company that you've worked with as well.
Sure.
You can share.
Well, the telecoms scenario is really more of a consulting project, and that's where an organization will bring us in to manage the communication of, it could be a range of things, but in a particular case I'm thinking of a company, it was a telco international, but they wanted to relaunch a product that wasn't performing well. It should have. It had all the signs to do so, but it wasn't performing well for 12 months in the Southeast Asia region. And so my team were brought in. We basically reconstructed the message. We considered the environment and the visual tools and stimulus to help that message and support that message. But then more importantly, what delivery mediums to get that message across. And within less than 24 months after our input, they testify of a 58% increase in sales regarding that particular product.
Very nice, very nice. So the bottom line is what you're able to do then is go in and work and do communications as well as sales presentations, and either do that with or for a business, or train the people to do it more effectively.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
very good. Yeah. So why don't we talk a little bit about your book, Confident, Powerful, and Persuasive Public Speaking,
Sure.
and where someone can learn more about either engaging you, first of all, just to get the book for free, but also how to engage you either as an individual trainer for key players in an organization on a group level, or be able to provide that additional sales training support, or actually be doing the communications and sales with your organization.
Absolutely. So the book really is a result of demand. And I do a lot of, Mike, I practice what I teach. So I do a lot of public speaking. I do a lot of conferences for business on leadership, communication, marketing, sales, etc. And after a number of people witnessing me talking and speaking with them in some type of conference scenario, and what they suggest and what they like is a more conversational, engaging style rather than just the one-way monologue. I had so many people asking me over the years, how do you do it, especially if you were so fearful of communicating and public speaking prior? What's the secret sauce? And so obviously it drove me to write an easy read, and really the desire is to put that in as many hands as possible. We give that away for free on our website, which I'll explain in a moment. And really the desire is to help people at any stage, whether it's the janitor or the executive of a company, to be more confident and to be more powerful and ultimately more persuasive in the way that they communicate.
Very nice. So where do they go to get your book and learn more about you?
JohnRayner.tv. That's JohnRayner.tv, and they can download complimentary.
All right, fantastic. So the next step is yours to take. Just head on over to johnrayner.tv. The link is below, and you can learn more about John, his services, and how he can help you build and grow your organization, become more effective and more persuasive too.